Picture this. You're 6 years old, holding your mom's hand, and there's Snoopy. Not on TV, not in a comic strip, but in real life. Standing at the gates of Six Flags with his big floppy ears and that famous grin. Before you've even touched a ride, you've already had the best day ever. That's the power of the Peanuts gang, and today we're diving into how they became a part of Six Flags history. Pull your lap bar down, keep your hands inside. We're headed to the middle of fun. If you've ever walked into a Six Flags park and saw Charlie Brown waving from the front gate, or maybe even Snoopy floating down a parade route, you know exactly what today's episode is about. Yeah, we're talking about the Peanuts characters and their long, happy, and sometimes surprising, complicated life inside Six Flags theme parks. Now, Six Flags has had its fair share of mascots and licensed characters over the years. Bugs Bunny and the Looney Tunes, absolutely. They've been a backbone since like the 1980s. DC Comics and their superheroes, Batman and Superman, practically built Gotham City and Metropolis Midways. But did you know that before all of that, Six Flags secured the rights to the Peanuts characters, and they became a cornerstone of park identity for decades. It all started in 1983 when Six Flags inked a deal with United Media, which at the time handled licensing for Charles Schultz's beloved comic strip characters. The deal was huge. It gave Six Flags exclusive rights to use Snoopy, Charlie Brown, Lucy, Linus, and the whole crew across its parks in the U.S. That meant themed areas, shows, parades, and of course, meet and greet characters. For the kids in the 80s and 90s, that meant your first roller coaster might have been Woodstock's Express or Snoopy's Zoomer. Or maybe you sat through a stage show where Snoopy actually tap danced in front of you. That's right. He didn't just sit on top of his doghouse pretending to be a World War I flying ace. Snoopy was a song and dance man. The jewel of this partnership was the creation of Camp Snoopy, which opened in several Six Flags parks in the 80s and 90s. Think of it as the Peanuts summer camp come to life. Log cabins, canoe-inspired rides, a playground where Woodstock might help you cross a rope bridge, and pint-sized rides perfect for your first thrills. For kids too small to ride the big coasters, this was their magic kingdom, complete with Snoopy hugs at the end of the day. But here's the kicker. Snoopy wasn't just a kid's character in the parks. In fact, Snoopy became the official mascot of Six Flags for a long stretch. He was on brochures, merchandise, even commercials. It made sense Charles Schultz's characters had the universal cross-generational charm. Parents knew them from the newspaper strips and holiday specials, while kids loved the TV cartoons. So why don't you see Snoopy and Charlie Brown as much in Six Flags today? Well, that's where the business side kicks in. Around 2010, Cedar Fair, the chain that owns parks like Cedar Point, Knott's Berry Farm, and Kings Island, secured its own long-term licensing deal with the Peanuts brand. In fact, Knott's had already been home to Camp Snoopy since about 1983, and it became their flagship kids area. When Cedar Fair expanded, they leaned into Peanuts branding across the entire chain. But here's where it gets interesting. Six Flags still retains the rights to the Peanuts characters. That's right, they never fully gave them up. While Snoopy may have shifted more heavily towards Cedar Fair parks, Six Flags' deal was not dissolved. It just became less prominent once the Warner Brothers and DC partnerships took over as their main mascots. That meant technically, at least on paper, Charlie Brown could walk back into Six Flags Park tomorrow if they wanted him to. Picture it. Bugs Bunny holding hands with Snoopy, Batman giving Woodstock a fist bump. It's never a crossover we've seen lately, but the rights are still there, tucked away in Six Flags portfolio like an old comic strip folded into the Sunday Funnies. So, where does that leave Snoopy and the gang today? Well, their footprints in Six Flags history are still there, even if Bugs Bunny and Batman get more spotlight now. The Camp Snoopy areas may have been rethemed, the stage shows have come and gone, and the brochures might not feature Snoopy's big smile anymore, but the memories have never clocked out. Think of it. The Peanuts characters gave kids their very first taste of amusement park magic. They were safe, funny, and familiar. Characters you've already trusted before you even walk through the gates. The magic made Six Flags feel like a home away from home. And for parents, it was a rare moment where you and your kid could come and laugh at the same characters together. The rights may technically still belong to Six Flags, tucked away like a keepsake in a scrapbook, but the real legacy isn't in contracts. It's in the laughter of kids on their first roller coaster, the hugs from Snoopy after a long day, and the families who left the park with plush Woodstocks underneath their arms, and the smiles on their faces. And maybe that's the most Peanuts ending of all. Like the comic strip itself, it was never about grand finales. It was always about the little moments that stick with you forever. Hey, follow the Middle of Fun podcast on the Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, X, and Instagram at TMOF Podcast. Stay safe, stay nostalgic, keep your heart in the middle of fun.